Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about selling the meeting, not the program. This is something I've covered in the channel before, but I feel like I need to make a sort of a redo of this video, of that video. So what does it mean by sell the meeting and not the program? If you're a seller, one of the first things that you need to understand is your job. It says right here, you need to qualify the prospect enough. Like, this is what you're being paid to do, guys. Just qualify them enough, and then if you think you can help them out with your offer, then you get them on a call. And then the closer's job is to qualify fully, put it into a buying state, and close them. Let me tell you what the problem is, though. Most setters nowadays, or most setters, the ones the ones who don't perform, the ones who don't get results, is they make the mistake of selling the program in the DMs, and then that's just going to lead to an array of problems. So, for example, like, what kind of problems does it actually cause? Well, they're not in a buying state, meaning, let's say they hopped on the phone and the closer was there. Is the closer and the prospect having a genuine conversation, but they're having a full-on conversation, for about 30, 45, 60 minutes. The closer is, asking about their pain points, asking about where their current situation is, trying to get leverage, asking them about what their dreams, their goals are, their plans. Is like very human, and it's just a room for the prospect to really open up and even be kind of vulnerable, because they need to be vulnerable in a way. You need to get them to share these things, otherwise you don't know 100% if you can help them. But in the DMs, it's kind of different. It's not a Zoom call where it's harder to leave. Obviously people hang up, but in the DMs, people can just leave your messages unread all the time, or they already get like probably hundreds and thousands of messages per day, or just already in their inbox. So it's super easy. The barrier to entry to exiting a conversation like that is very, very low. So therefore, it's going to be very hard to put them in a buying state. I hope that makes sense. Because like when you message a prospect, even if you say like one or two things wrong, that's probably all it takes. Or you just come off too needy and desperate. That's probably all it takes for them to just leave you unread and not reply back to you, even if you try to follow up with them, which is fine. So pretty much what most setters do is they make the mistake of selling the program. They start talking about price. They start talking about the features, the benefits, just getting into just rambling on and on, when in reality, they don't have all the time in the world to be reading all that text. Okay, so that's why it's such an important job, appointment setting, because if you get them on the call, they're way more in the buying state. They're more likely to buy. Okay, so setter's job, you have to sell the meeting. What I mean by sell the meeting, you just have to give a good enough reason, have enough leverage on your side, so that they want to hop on a meeting. They're going to take time out of their precious day to hop on a meeting and speak to a business owner, and probably see if they become part of the program that you're selling. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like the closer is the one they're the one that should be explaining the program and the investment. Now you can see that I've written here, the only exception is, and there is an exception to this, which I'll get onto, but the closer is the one that should be explaining the program and the investment. They're the one that should be doing the pitch for the program. They should have that nailed down, and then they're going to be the one disclosing the investment, and then they're going to be handling any objections that come their way. But your job is, because like the closer's job, it's basically a funnel. If you're the setter, you're like top, middle / bottom of funnel, whatever you want to call it. You're just trying to feed the closer and the business as much leads as possible. Qualified as well. And it doesn't have to be you don't have to over qualify, but just make sure they're somewhat qualified too. And then like any room that the closer can work with, they can do on the call. They can qualify them even more. So you're just there trying to fill the pipeline as much as possible. Quantity, volume, and some quality as well involved. And then the closer is gonna filter out the bad apples and the good apples, and then the ones that are good apples, they actually join the program and obviously close as a client. And then the ones that just get disqualified, or they circle back around with them in a couple months' time. Follow up. Okay? But if you have to prioritize volume. It's actually tough. It's going to be different from business to business. But if I had to pick one, volume I'd rather take a more packed calendar with more quantity than
like a calendar with, you know, very few leads, but they're qualified. Because now that you think about it, like especially if the closer isn't, you know, isn't that good. Like, obviously, you want to have good closers, but let's say it's like a shotgun versus sniper approach. With the quantity, let's say like 70% are, you know, they're qualified or they could buy, and then 30% are like not so qualified. That's fine. If anything, it just puts your mind in a state of abundance. But if let's say you had like, say you had 20, 25 calls that week, but this split for the closer, no matter what level that the closer's operating in, or that you're operating in, or the business, it's always good to be in a state of abundance. Personally, I'd rather be in a state of abundance where I have options and I have like leverage and power to say no, and that's going to come from quantity. You know, I'm just trying to draw people here. 1 second. There we go. Yeah, tally that up basically. I'd rather have that over. So that's QL. This is QN. Quantity, quality. Let's say 90% of the leads are qualified. 10% aren't, but you only have half. And again, like this can be up for debate, but let's say you only have 10 calls that week. Even if you close some, you know, 25 is not, obviously 25 is less than 10, 25 is more than 10, excuse me. And then, you know, you're not as much in a state of abundance. And again, there's nuance to this, but this is just my opinion as of now. Okay, so you have like 10, whatever. I hope this is all making sense. But the point I'm trying to drive home is quality and quantity, you know, they're interchangeable, but, you know, your job as a setter, remember the core root of people hiring you as a setter is so you can pack out the calendar and book more leads. That's it. Okay? And qualified is also good. Now, the only exception to this rule is, if I can click it, the only exception where you can get away with talking about the program, the price, etc. And like, you shouldn't even be rambling on. You shouldn't make it too long. You should keep it concise, keep it brief, so it's digestible. But the only exception to this is, let's say you're working for like a very big company or like a big personal brand. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if the calendar is already packed full of calls, that you need to be stricter with the qualification process. So if they're already packed out full of calls, but then you got leads coming and you're trying to book them in for a call, then you have, fair enough. Be stricter with the qualification process. You can financially qualify them. You can give them a range. Okay, so in order to get started, you know, mentorship, or in order to get started, it's gonna take between 2 and 5K, whatever you want to say, whatever you have to say. So, because like obviously, if you only have so much, the closer only has so much time. You only have so much time. You only got 24 hours in a day, and you know, if you already, your calendar is already packed out, then be stricter. Filter out the ones that are obviously bad apples, keep the ones that are good financially, or you know, time investment. Let's say they can't dedicate X amount of hours per day into your offer, then you can DQ them. That's fine, or you can follow up with them down the line. The second exception, or part of this, is if the business has a large following. It's kind of like what I said earlier. If a business has a large following, like a massive brand, massive lead flow, and a massive influence. Why? Because of leverage. So let's say like hypothetically, Alex Hormozi, he probably does already. He probably has setters and closers on this team. But let's just say in like a smaller scale, like what we see typically nowadays in the market, like a biz op, or whatever you want to call it. If they have a large following, if you have a ton of influence, ton of lead flow, then and people have been following Alex Hormozi's story, they've been following his profile for years, and they're really drawn to his brand and his influence, then it's actually fine. Like he's not going to be worried about people walking away if you talk about being scared off. If you talk about the program and the investment, how much it's going to cost, right? Because A, people are already drawn to Alex Hormozi so much, and B, like they're willing to pay and get closer to him and be under his wing, and B, there's a ton of lead flow anyway. There's even more abundance. Like there's, the saying, there's plenty more fish in the sea. So therefore, if you lose one, you're not worried because Alex Ramosi is going to have leads for days. So, and if you flip it on its head, where like this wouldn't work, where like explaining the program and the investment wouldn't work, is if the business isn't, doesn't really have that large following, doesn't really have that established brand yet, that lead flow, that influence, because they don't have enough leverage. So they will still be dependent on getting as much people on the calendar as much as possible. And then obviously if there's white space on the calendar, or the closer knows they're not at full capacity and can't, they're not reaching their limits, then that's why you need to pack it out more. So this won't work. Obviously exceptions, take it with a grain of salt, but this is just a big mistake that I've seen a lot of setters make, is they start rambling on about the program and not actually focusing on their job initially, which is to get them on the bloody call. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Just a quick one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't make this mistake. Obviously, have the emotional intelligence, know what kind of offer you're working with. If it's just a starting off one, not like a mediocre one, or you're just there, just a very entry level one, then get used to selling the meeting over selling the program, because that's the closer's job to do so. And then as you get into, let's say you get in a really, really fantastic position, big following, a person has big following, big lead flow, then you can afford to be stricter, because the calendar doesn't have time to waste to hop on it with very, very unqualified leads, or even slightly unqualified leads. So hope that makes sense. Go try this out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.